I have a surprise.
You know money. Yeah, I'm so feeling some more.
Hey, I'm so good. Now, the ultimate. Minipia, obey my way in to a trap. When I'm a did my wedding, Mr. Q.
She say me a beman kasankasa.
Mitchina me now one kasa. Nankasa.
What is it?
Aye, we backward and then it's strong enough. Compensation for backward, no one which me.
Mr. Wasimia, with your one man.
Hey, I can't yadi. Near more.
At to Fonko Kulun Ghana Limited, our East Legon, a Champion Junction, from 0244 139 176.
Mr. Q, we are Cuba.
Welcome. Today's Friday, actually. I'm excited about today. Welcome to the newspaper review segment. Big thank you to Gregory Ankra for bringing us the 6 a.m. news, and of course to the news team as well for putting together the news, and also our international partners for sharing with us what is happening in Brazil, in India, and in the rest of the world. We're grateful that every morning you share with us what is happening on the global scene. Now, we're coming to discuss, very important issues as well pertaining to Africa and Ghana. And I'm sure what is currently on the minds of many Ghanaians has to do with the taxes. We're definitely going to touch on that. And a number of issues. We do know that, so many people have come out to want to lead the MPP, I beg your pardon, into the 2024 elections. The Greek minister has come out. We know that Alan Chamanting has always been and is still in the race. We also do know that the former railways minister, I always forget his name, Jogate. Jogate is also in there. Baumia obviously is in there. It's going to be a very big marathon. We don't know who's going to take the baton from the Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I've seen posters of Baumia flying on social media and, in town, break the 8. That's what they're saying. I don't know whether they can be able to break the 8 or not, but whatever it is their house matter. I'm sure they would find a way of bringing out quality people who represent their party in the 2024 elections. This morning, we have a task. Our task is very simple: to bring to you the newspaper review segment and to also elicit some very wonderful submissions from you, the viewers, as well. Together, we have to make sure that we build, our dear nation, Ghana. And your contribution is as important as the contribution that will be given by the panelists who are seated here this morning. Bernard Mona is first to be here, as always. Good morning to you, Bernard. Good morning. And thank you very kindly for your time. Whilst we wait for the topics to come to us, I'm sure that you want to touch on your friend's death, Magufuli. I know he's your friend. He passed on, I believe, 2 days ago, and as a result of COVID-19. But we're also learning from Samira, the vice president, who is now the president, or the president to be, that he died as a result of heart complications. We don't know whether that is true or not, but I mean, from all indications, it appears that he died as a result of COVID-19. Let's touch on that first, and then we come to the question that I asked you in my office this morning as well, whether you believe, deep down in your heart, that there's any future at all for our dear nation, Ghana.
Good morning to you, and then to your technical men, and then to those who are yet to come, Alaji Ebi Fuseni and others, wherever they are. To my good brother, Nurudeen Haledu. I always mention him for the good job he's done.
How do you, sir?
For the past 2 days, it has been a terrible period for me and my communications secretary, the National Communications Secretary for the PNC, Audu Ishak. He indicated to me his dad was not well, and he had gone home to check on him. And within the period, it was obvious to us that life was gradually departing from the old man. So much that at a point the doctors indicated that it was not possible to even bring him on transfer here for further treatment.
Wow.
So it was at that point that we all started expecting the worst.
Wow.
Then, of course, I was hit with the news that the old man had passed away. Beyond party, we stay just adjacent to each other in Konta. We are relatives as well. And so it is a funeral for the family. And I just know that I would be the first son of the family. It is going to be a tough one for him, particularly at this time that the economy has turned its head on. Tomorrow certainly will be the third day Adua, and then they will continue all the various Aduas until the 40th day Adua. I'm not able to be there immediately, but certainly we will join to commiserate with the family and to tell Awudu and the other siblings that now maturity has come to them, whether they like it or not. Once you lose your father and you are the firstborn, it means that you have assumed the position of the leader of the family. So Awudu should be strong so that he will be able to pull the rest of his siblings along. I think that that is the most important thing that I want to do. Kwame, Magufuli died, and of course, don't doubt that he is a man of many contradictions. He is a man who has many positives, even as some of his orientations certainly do not lead to that. This is a man who, upon coming into office as president, decided that their National Independence Day celebration should be dedicated to cleaning Tanzania. He fully participated. It's not like he just went to stand there. He fully participated and ensured that they used the Independence Day to clear the country of the filth that it has. And therefore, throughout, from morning, you could see him as president. He was carrying things. No bodyguard should do anything. Everybody then had to go and carry the rubbish to ensure that they were able to keep Tanzania clean. This is a man who started ensuring the indigenization of their own country. He started and telling the West that, look, we don't need you in order to move our country forward. And when COVID came, he is one of the strong opponents of the COVID mantra. And don't forget that as soon as COVID came and then they brought the PCR and what have you to do the testing, he, as a chemist, don't forget he's a chemistry teacher, he decided that let me test what COVID is all about. So they carried goat serum, they carried pawpaw, they carried oil, they carried so many things to the laboratory to go and test, to check the efficacy of the PCR that they brought, only to realize that the goat showed positive, pawpaw showed positive, oil showed neutral. So he came out with the results and said, okay, so even pawpaw that we eat, fruits, can be COVID positive. So what do you say? Oil is COVID neutral. It doesn't show anything whether it's positive or negative. So he brought up and said, look, COVID could be one of the other ailments. So don't magnify COVID beyond a certain limit so that everybody is put into panic and what have you. He was the one who also was advocating for an African solution, after all, if there is COVID. And he kept talking about steaming and all those things that we could use to ensure that we overcame the offenses of COVID. And so you could see that the Africanness in him was huge. The point of departure that I have with him is that when there is a calamity of this proportion, which is a scientific, and he is a scientist, then you get up and you say that they should organize 3 days of national prayer. And after the 3 days of national prayer, you come and declare that the country has been healed. Kwame, our economic and other problems cannot be wished away on the basis of just going to start shouting, hey, baba, baba, hey, baba, baba. It will not be solved.
Yeah.
We did that in Ghana when President Kufuor went and brought international evangelists. They went to Akosombo and raised their hands, remember, to pray so that rain will fall, so that Akosombo will be filled with water. This is what President Kufuor did. And that did not solve the problem. We noticed that doom so continued until probably President Mahama and Jonathan Mills decided that they will do some heavy investments in order to attenuate the situation. Even as we speak, we are still suffering. So raising your hand and saying prayers will not help it. We saw Duncan Williams, go to the church and asking the cedi to rise, and he should rise against the dollar. Remember, stepping on the cedi and praying that the cedi should rise. Obviously, it cannot rise. So there are certain things that we have to do with the physical strength, and then allow what prayer too can do. And so when you come and you say that, let's go and do prayers, and after prayers you declare your nation COVID-free, it becomes a bit of a problem. But there's no doubt that he is one of the finest African leaders, one of the pushers, let me call it so, who have pushed his country, ensuring that, look, things that ought to be done, ought to be done. I remember his first trip to the UN, there were only 3 people. Remember, there were only 3 people. And he ordered that all his people, including himself, should not travel by first class. You understand? So those things, instituting austerity in the government itself, will let the people move with you. And that is why I was not surprised that in the last election, he won about 84% of the votes. Because the people then could identify with a president who had come to reduce the luxury. A president should be sitting in first class. He said, or business class. He said, no, we all sit in economic class. This is what the government can provide. If you don't want to sit in the economy, then you can top up and go and buy whatever ticket. But government will not spend on any business or first class. And he did that. What it means is that a lot of money on expenditure, traveling expenditure, had been reduced. When you are going to the UN and you see the entourage, and you remember when in that particular UN, President Akufo-Addo went with almost everybody. It was too full.
They were packed like sardines.
You understand? And then you had the Tanzanian president come, and there were only 3 people. He had his foreign affairs minister, and then his aide, and that was it. The 3 of them, they went to the UN, finished their presentation, they came back. So he brought such new method of ensuring that, look, we are able to downsize expenditure, and that we are able to concentrate on what we need. And of course, as I keep saying, no human being can be perfect. And so he also had his downside, including believing that going to stand and say hallelujah, praise God, or assalamu alaikum will lead to the attenuation of the disease that was hitting all of us. So it is sad for we Africans. I have heard a lot of conspiracy theories that are going on, that he was one of the non-conformists when it comes to Western world dictating for Africans. He will always tell you no. He had his own opinions, and therefore the West did not like him. It is suggested that because they did everything and they could not get him, as they did to other great leaders like Hugo Chavez, where they will introduce slow poisoning into you. That slow poisoning was introduced in order to weaken his system, and he died. I, like the vice president of or acting president, she was supposed to be sworn in yesterday, because by their constitution, she's supposed to be sworn in as president 24 hours after the demise of the president. And so I think yesterday she was supposed to be sworn in. If she was not sworn in, I will be surprised. So the acting vice president has said that, look, we know that he had a heart-related problem. He was suffering from it, and then it degenerated, and he passed on. But in this era, you know what happens. Anybody who makes a mistake and die, you are accused of having suffered COVID. And so I'm not surprised that the COVID tag is trending much more than we can see. So Kwame, don't die now. If you die, I can assure you that we will accuse you of dying of COVID.
All right.
So it's important that all of us should look at what Magufuli did and what he couldn't do.
Right.
It is my expectation. By the rules, it is expected that the vice president will run for the rest of the period, the term. And so up to 2024, 2025, she will still be president. I am hoping that she will continue with some of the courageous policies that Magufuli brought about, the kind of African identity that he decided to personify, and pushing for his own people as against the rest of the world. I think that Magufuli will be remembered for bringing down expenditure on government and putting people's interests ahead of his personal interests.
Well, thank you very much, Bernard. Mona, if you just joined us, you're watching the newspaper review segment here on Pan-African Television. Protocol just joined us. Good morning to you, Protocol. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Good morning, Mr. KOD.
Right. Okay. So, well, I asked you a question, Bernard, before we dig into the topics that we have here, and I've seen that people are actually asking the same question on our Facebook page, Pan-African TV Facebook page. I mean, the question is Ghana in safe hands? And is there any better future for our dear nation, Ghana? I mean, that's the question that people are asking. I feel that once we sit here, we're supposed to represent the mouthpiece of the people, because not everybody can be here. So I'm just asking the question for and on behalf of the people. Do you think that Ghana is in safe hands? Do you think that there's any future at all, at least in the foreseeable future, for this current generation and the next? Sir?
Kwame, it's a very tough question when I have to put it in perspectives. One is to look at even my personal life, and the people that I associate with. Kwame, largely what I have come to realize, even from the many young people, is that as soon as you leave television station, they expect that you are rich.
Yeah.
And so when you come for a TV program and they see you and you are speaking your mind, the expectation is that you are rich and that you have excess and therefore you must give. Sometimes the messages you receive, you are wondering whether you are the one that they are directed towards. The second one is that people who get closer to you, they feel that, oh, you have opportunities, you know a certain class of people, and that because you know those people, it means that you should quickly move to them so that they can give you support. And so their relationship and association with you is simply about what they can get materially, so that if they cannot get it, Kwame, then it means that you are not worthy to be followed. I have personally suffered so much that sometimes when I sit down and I think, I begin to ask myself, if this is the thinking of we the young ones, then it means that there cannot be a future. There cannot be a future, because that is the way we are thinking. And once we begin to think that, look, as soon as somebody is in a position, the person must soon become rich, then we have a danger. So you see that somebody becomes a DCE and it doesn't last. The person wants to become richer than the office that he is occupying or she is occupying. And if you go around our various communities, you cannot see that it is the political elite that are rich. You understand? Those who are privileged to be in office, soon they become rich. Nobody questions how they become rich. And sometimes I also blame the system. I don't know whether you have gone to any of the residences. Have you been to any of the residences? If you have been to any of the residences and you see the residence of a regional minister and you were probably a teacher, or you were a farmer, and then suddenly they elevate you to become a regional minister. Right. And they move your family to that posh environment where you have a cook, you have a gardener, you have everything, and the buildings are huge anyway. Your kids move with you now, not so. Soon after that, your wife will come and tell you, think that you will stay here, and then when we leave here, we'll go back to that our, what do we call it, chamber and hall. We will not. So pressure will start coming to you from your house. That no, you have to do something. And there is a saying that standards are maintained or improved. No, so once they have moved in there, the next thing they are thinking about is to have a similar facility. And therefore, however, because society expects that they should have anyway. And so society doesn't even question how they come about it. And so it is this thing about material awareness, material consciousness. And because of that, particularly for the young people, it is eating deep into our potential to be able to stand for anything. Because these days, well, I mean, if you don't want to hold somebody's back, you will not get the opportunity to enter. You understand? So people now begin to now become appendices. Oh, you don't know this man, sorry. And now that he's not in appointment, I can use his name. Osafu Mafo. You don't know Osafu Mafo. You have to get closer to him. You have to do this. You have to lie low.
Political God.
Yeah. So then such people can now be throwing you up and down. You know, at that time, your independence to think, the values you hold, the principles that you want to stand by, you can't stand by any. Because whilst doing all these things, you are expecting that this man will do me some favor so that he can use his leverage to push me through some place. And because of that, Kwame, we have virtually collapsed everything. The other part is that,
but before you get to the other part,
there is a hero worshipping.
Okay, well, because how did you get to the point where now people are forced to be holding people's back?
Kwame, I'll get there.
Yes.
There is hero worshipping, and that the institution or the state is no more important, but individuals are important.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be surprised that before the show starts, my brother will start giving praises to the president, to the president's wife, to the vice president and the vice president's wife. And I'm sure that you've come across this many times. Why? Because they have to do that so that they can also now be recognized. I have seen this when I go on program, then all of a sudden, the president, and then they'll give all manner of appellations. Look, that is not what it should be about. It should be about what we should think. So now, our political parties are more important than our nation, Ghana. Our nation, Ghana, becomes secondary. The political parties have become thank God. Individuals can go and commit any crime in as long as they can come and say that, you don't know, this thing I'm doing, they are taking me on because of my political persuasions. Kwame, it becomes a political fight. And that is why, for instance, this nonsense that have been published, that the president of Ghana is quiet about the ethnicity and the slant that they are putting on other tribes. You see people now beginning to say that, since it is within our turn as a government or as a political party in power, let's defend those nonsense. And so people forget that they have principles that they have to fight for. So when you collapse all these things, and I sit down and people want you to go and join a particular group because in joining that, you can easily get appointment, and then out of the appointment, they can also get a share. Kwame, I sometimes get broken. So I can tell you that, yes, there is a future. And there is a future. Unfortunately, I'm wondering whether we can carry along this mentality into that future. Because see, the next question you ask is, how did we get here? It's simple. It's simple. Because we got here because a large chunk of our society that was promised, and I keep telling people that Ghana is the land of promised, that was promised at our birth as a nation that everything was going to be good for us. And indeed, it started to show that things were going to be good for us. And all of a sudden, in the middle, and that's why when you go to the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, you see where his statue is hanging. I hope you have seen what is there. You can see that it is like a tree that has been truncated on the top. A tree that is growing, now ready to spread and bloom, has been cut in the trunk. That is Dr. Don Atta telling us that Kwame Nkrumah was the big tree. growing to spread so that fragrance will get to all of us. And somehow by our own dictates, we connive with others and then we cut it in the middle. So now you can see that the branches and other parts of the tree are not there. So when we kill that agenda of Kwame Nkrumah, and I have said here before, that even the United Nations, UNESCO, in 1963, could predict that the rate at which Ghana was advancing by 1970, 7 years from then, that Ghana will be importing labor from other parts of the world to come into our country to come and work. Today, it took protocol several years to secure a good job. I sat here and I told you people that I completed school with in 2003 are still calling me to tell me that, Charlie, we go do small here. It didn't work. We go do small here. It didn't work. Now we are home. So, in 2003, they cannot still find themselves in any permanency in employment. So, calculate the age that they are now, about 40s. And they cannot find jobs. And they are expected to find jobs, make contribution to social security, and that in retirement, their contribution will take care of them. Now, you cannot even work for 10, 15 years when you go on retirement. So when you go on retirement, what is going to take care of you? So when there is a decay in the leadership, that leadership which is supposed to assure you of existence, Kwame, everybody now gets up. And I will not be surprised if you check Alaji's packet. There are applications that are there. His constituents have given him letters. They are looking for jobs. And so Alaji is supposed now to go everywhere to be looking for jobs for people. When you reach such a desperate level in your nation, and you are hoping that there will be a future, that future certainly will become a bleak and a difficult one to pursue. So I think that many of us as young people must put our mind to the fact that, look, nation first, and that once we are able to secure the nation, political parties can come and go. We can belong to political parties and we can change. But our nation, Ghana, will not change. So it is important that we put our spirit in the political party to ensure that the things that affect us, we collectively fight. Look, I have seen, and you see this, Democrats go and fight their own government for bringing policies. Not so. Republicans go out and fight their own government for bringing policies that are inimical. Come to Ghana and try it.
You see, I mean, I appreciate all of this, and I think that this is just a topic of, and of course, it's an attempt for us all to begin to ponder about the things that we need to do that can change the trajectory of our political discourse. But, I mean, of course, there's no denying the fact that after the overthrow and the subsequent demands of Sergeant Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, many things were truncated. There's no denying that fact, right? Subsequent to that, we saw some level of improvements here and there. And
there has never been improvement.
Well, I mean, Champo, I mean, you people sit here and you
I said that.
Absolutely. So,
but that one
some, I'm not saying...
that one too was truncated.
Absolutely, it was truncated.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that we've had, you know, political instability from that time till the Fourth Republic, right? Within this Fourth Republic, and I always want to be very current with the issues. Within this Fourth Republic, how come that now, till today, as we stand now, it's, I mean, as we sit here this morning, it's practically impossible for Ghanaians to be united to fight a cause that is beneficial to themselves. And
we will not go far, Kwame. I'm sure that one of your topics will be about the tax increases.
Yes.
On this table, you will see the counter proposals that will be made. You will see justification for something that when we all live here, is going to affect us heavily.
All right.
You understand?
Then, so let me leave it there.
So the point I'm trying to make is that
because I'm thinking that
we have sold nationhood for partisanship, and it is not just from all of us. All of us have sacrificed the nation Ghana, because if you go to other countries, they will die. You can't go to Cuba, you know that. You can't go to, the people will die for their country. But here, no. the thing is that what will you get? If you are put in an office, the first thing that is expected of you is that what are you going to chop from that office?
Yeah, but why?
Because society expects that once you are given such a position and they call you honorable, that